If you would have told me a year ago, heck, 6 months ago, that I would be letting my top tier Incredipass for Walt Disney World expire, I would have said, you are crazy. Because I love being not only an annual pass holder, but I love being that top tier annual pass holder here at Walt Disney World. I love being able to visit whenever I want. I love being able to visit what is basically 365 days a year. But here we are, early 2025, and I'm gonna be letting my annual pass, my Incredipass specifically, expire. I'm changing course. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that today because it's something that has been on my mind, something I've been thinking about for quite some time. And I know that some of you might be concerned. You're like, hold on a second, you're not going to be an AP for Walt Disney World anymore. No, I'm still going to be an annual pass holder, but I'm not going to be that top tier annual pass holder. I'm going to downgrade, not just one level or two. We're going all the way down to the bottom. Pixie Pass, bare bottom, bare bones, bottom of the barrel, annual pass for Florida residents. And I want to tell you why that is. So, do you want to hang out with me for a minute here in one of my favorite places to hang out at Animal Kingdom? The seating area for Flame Tree Barbecue? All right, let's do it. Actually, let's move our way up to a different seating area. We were just here for a video we did the other day. We always sit down here, but we never sit up here in the blue area. So let's sit for a second and talk about this. First and foremost, annual passes. Let's get into it really briefly. So there are multiple annual passes available for the Walt Disney World Resort. There's the Incredipass, which is the top tier pass. You have the most park pass reservations that you can hold at any one time, and then you have no blackout dates. So you can visit whenever you want, assuming that there are park pass reservations available. So there's that. And then all of the other annual passes are exclusive for Florida residents. There is an exception to that. If you're a Disney Vacation Club member, there's an annual pass that's available to you as well. And you know, as you go down the list, you have less perks. More specifically, you have less park pass reservations available to you and less overall availability. And at the bottom of that list, like I said, is the Pixie Pass. This is available only to Florida residents, and it also has the least availability. You can only visit during the week, and you have like a boatload of blackout dates. It's also the most affordable, and one of the ways that Florida residents get away with going to the parks all the time. I mean, this Pixie Pass is what? I think it's like $400, maybe 500. Memory, you know, doesn't serve me well here. And I also add in the Memory Maker and water parks. That's an extra couple $100. But you know, the long and short of it is that's not a lot of money, really, when you think about it. For an entire year, I would have blown that really quickly just going to state parks in the Midwest. Forget about national parks. That racks up pretty quickly. Anyway, after much consideration and discussion with Russ, I thought to myself, why do I continue with the Incredipass? I mean, I had it since 2019, and I've just continually renewed it every single year, and I've loved having the Incredipass. I've loved being able to visit whenever I want. But as we kind of roll through 2025 and into a period of major construction and transitions here at the Walt Disney World Resort, I have to ask myself, is it worth the nearly $2,000 that I pay annually for that pass alone? And is the experience that I'm getting with that pass worth what I'm paying? Now, I'll be one of the first to tell you that annual passes can be a huge savings, especially if you do longer vacations. It's actually one of the hacks that people sometimes mention for those of you who might be doing longer vacations and opt for the annual pass. Even at its price, if you want to be in the parks every single day and you're planning on doing something like a park hopper every single day, you can actually save yourself money with an AP. And then if you're creative with when you plan your vacations, you can get 2 vacations out of 1 annual pass, and that could be a big savings as well. In fact, we did that many times in the past, and it works out. So never hesitate to crunch those numbers, you know? But you know, as someone who's here all the time and has multiple passes, I also have an annual pass for Universal. Gotta keep an eye out for Mickey. He might be jumping out of the bushes to strike me down anytime I say that, especially in a Walt Disney World theme park. I have to wonder, is the juice that is the Walt Disney World theme parks worth the squeeze? And like I said, as we continue through this year, I'm not necessarily sure that it is. And you know, we've been talking about this too, in all the discussions that we're having about whether or not you should visit Walt Disney World in the coming year or coming years, depending on how all of the construction goes, because there are a lot of things that are down. They're being worked on, and the list continues to grow. I mean, we just got word that Buzz Lightyear is going down, you know, for the rest of the year. Big Thunder's down. I don't know what the status of Astro Orbiter is now that I think about it. Anyway, all of that to say, there's a lot that I feel like is happening right now, and it's impacting the experience. There's really no way around it. I mean, when we went to Magic Kingdom to see the Disney Vacation Club Lounge, I was standing in line for like 30 minutes, just kind of mingling with and chatting with other DVC members, and they seem to have similar feelings. The experience right now just isn't really what you want it to be, and certainly not necessarily worth what you're paying if you're paying for that premier, or I shouldn't say premier pass because that's a term of art for other things, but for that Incredipass, for that top tier annual pass. So I've been having a lot of discussions about this with Russ. We've been talking about it for a bit. Russ had a Pixie Pass the last year. He had a Pixie Pass prior to having an Incredipass, which he has now, and that worked out really nicely. It really did. We managed just fine with that, and the Boo Crew, aka my parents who live down here, they also have Pixie Passes, and it works out for them really well too. So I couldn't help but think that, you know, maybe I go with a Pixie Pass in 2025 into 2026, and maybe even beyond. Maybe that is the best route to go. And you know, in terms of how that will impact the channel, I don't think it'll actually impact the discussions that we can have very much at all. I mean, I visit the parks all the time anyway, and I take you along and we have discussions like we do, even if I'm not here every single day. And that's gonna be true with the Pixie Pass as well. But also, saving the money that I'll be saving, not having that Incredipass, will free up some funds for us to do even more here on the channel. Maybe get an annual pass for another theme park. Or we could even do some more traveling with the funds that we'll have saved. More hotel stays, stuff like that. So I do think that it'll have a positive impact on what we're doing here. Definitely a more positive impact than negative impact. But, you know, that having been said, I did want to talk to you about this, let you know where I'm at, because I know that there are a lot of you who want to hear my opinions on so many things, and especially when it comes to whether or not Disney is a place worth visiting right now and moving forward. We've had this discussion a few times already, but you know, it's one thing to think about it. It's another thing to put your money where your mouth is. And the experience that I've been having and the feelings that I've been having has had me thinking, I think that this is the route that's worth taking, especially for someone who chats with you about the parks all the time. So I don't want to like completely cancel my pass, and I wouldn't, because I live so close by, and if nothing else, the pass gives me free parking so I can explore the resorts and everything, which I definitely think is worth doing. But yeah, it might be something to think about, you know? Maybe that adds to the discussion for you and your family if you're toying with whether or not Disney is the place worth visiting right now. I think we might have to reevaluate moving forward, more specifically like 2026, 2027 timeframe, when all of these things start to open back up and the parks, I don't know, have fully transitioned into this new era of Disney, whatever that means. So we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, you guys will come along with me on that journey, and we'll have discussions like this along the way as well. And you know what else this little bit of savings is going to do for us? It's going to let us get that annual pass for Epic Universe when it becomes available, because we're definitely going to be doing that. I mean, the park is opening very soon. I'm crossing my fingers that an annual pass drops not long thereafter. So we'll just have to see. Again, keeping my eyes open. Thank you for watching my 6, making sure that, you know, Mickey doesn't creep up on me, even just saying that. But anyway, I think that's about all for now. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. If you were in my position, what would you do? Would you stick with that top tier annual pass, even if you didn't necessarily think that you were having a top tier experience? Would you maybe opt for another version of the pass? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Yeah, so share those thoughts with me in the comments down below. If you have any other questions about my thought process, I'd love to hear that too, so you know what to do. But for now, I think I'm off. Time to go explore the park and have a good day. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for having this conversation with me, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Until then, bye.